So we agreed upon that. I gave him a copy of the contract saying that he was going to get 15 and my seller was going to get 10. So he signed the warranty deed and he was like, well, you got yourself a deal. So he was like, and then I had to sneak on to the facility.
Yes, we had to sneak onto the facility. It's like we're on the episode of Shawshank Redemption or something, because he rolled the paper up. We talked to him before we got there. He rolled the paper up and stuck it in the fence.
And we had to drive by and get it.
We had to drive by and look. We were looking for him. We was like, okay, no, that's the paper. So we just rolled by, snatched the paper out of the fence, and kept going.
Took off.
And there were people in the yard like it was a prison. You know, there were people outside watching, like, what's this black SUV pulling up, getting paper out of a fence. But yeah, wow. He ended up stopping it.
Yes.
hey, y'all already know I got to get it out there. Hold on, that's Gator right there. That's truly Gator. If you all have to go up to a halfway house and get that, to make that bread happen, was that you definitely get the Gator Award on that.
Thank you.
Wow. $16,000 on their very first deal using $0. And they had to deal with one of the owners of the property that had already done 34 years in prison, and he was in a halfway house. How did they make this happen? Stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today we have Clark and Tammy out of Houston, Texas, and they're going to share with us their experience to their first payday. I think it was their first deal, and how they made $16,000. So enough of me yapping. How's it going, guys?
It's going well.
Great.
Okay. The way I like to normally do this is just to try to get some background on who you guys are, what you were doing, I guess, leading up before you say, hey, I want to do real estate, or if it's always been a thing that you want to pursue, and how you went about picking up that first check. So just to start, if you all can just give me a background of, how you all, what you all were doing before real estate, and we'll go from there.
You want to go first?
That is first.
Okay. I used to be a teacher. And so I've been teaching for like 10 years, but I took some time off because my dad had passed away. And so from there, I was working like a retail job. And so a lot of my friends say I have the gift of gab. So I was like, well, I'll try real estate. And so I had... was going to actually enroll into the classes to become a realtor and everything. And I came across your videos. One of my customers, because I work currently at Pandora, and one of my customers told me about your videos. And so I was like, okay. So I passed the information on to Clark. Well, Clark actually started watching the videos before me. And I was like, okay, I was kind of being lackadaisical about the videos. And so I was like, I wasn't really sure yet. I wasn't sold on, everything. And then Clark started watching the videos. And so I was like, okay, it might be something I'm interested in. So I started watching the videos. And then just from there, we were watching the videos, and I had a friend that wanted to sell his home, but he had worked with two other people. So he wasn't sure that he wanted to work with me or whatever. So it kind of just went from there. But that's a little bit of my background.
Okay, just real quick. When did do you remember when the person recommended? I guess my videos. Do you remember when that happened? When you were at work?
Oh,
What month was this?
So that was last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was last year actually, because this is May of 2020. So when he gave me the information, that was like back in
December.
Maybe November, December of 2019.
Okay.
He gave us your information because he was like, this is a good website for you if you want to get started. And he said that you list all the videos and everything. And so I actually sent the link to Clark first. And I was like, okay, I don't know, or whatever. You know how your customers give you information, but you're not sure? Because sometimes, everybody's information is not true or accurate or whatever.
Correct.
But I passed the information on to Clark.
Okay.
But it was back, I know.
It was definitely in 2019.
It was in 2019.
All right. And Clark, I'll cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that when she sent me the videos, it was in 2019. But myself, I'm in sales. I sell cars. So It kind of went, real estate was I always thought about it. I actually wanted to do real estate. Just didn't want to go back to school anymore. So this was right up my alley. When she sent me the videos, and when I started watching your videos, like you said, I got my information overload. Just want to take some action.
Okay, cool. All right. So you were going through the videos. I guess at some point, even though at the date of this video, there's almost 500 of them, at some point you're like, well, I had enough. I'm ready to do something. So, so at what point when you first took some action, and what did you actually do? Or you all did do?
Well, Clark got PopStream. Did you get PopStream first?
I actually, I think, I'm not too sure if she had the property on the contract before I got PopStream or if I got PopStream before. But I know I ended up using Zillow and PopStream to do it or whatever. But it just took watching the couples and the partners or whatever do the videos. And I'm like, it was a lady from Houston and there was a young couple who moved from up north down south. I think it was Atlanta.
Yeah, they moved from New York City to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yeah, them. And I was like, okay, yeah, this can be done. This can be done. So
all right. So what was the first thing that you all do to generate a lead or find a deal, or that first deal? What did you all do?
It really didn't. I want to say it really didn't take much work. They always tell me in sales when I first started, they always said that your first customers are pretty much going to be someone or a family member, someone within close proximity. And I would tell her that the first deal may come from somebody that we both know. And lo and behold, a longtime family friend that a friend of her dad's in the neighborhood just had a conversation with your mom. Mm-hmm. It was like he wanted to sell his house for for 25 grand, and the rest is history. She ran with it.
Yeah, I jumped on it.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So wow, that's a go. So if
you take you to work.
Yeah, if it started if you started educating yourself, basically, we'll say in the last part of 2019, when did this occur as far as this particular opportunity?
In February. So I was able to, the seller was a family friend. He and my dad used to work together. My dad used to do construction work. And so he used to work with my dad. So I've known him a long time. And so he made mention to my mom that he wanted to sell his house. But his word is he's a good guy, but it was like iffy. Like, I don't know if he's really is he being for real? Is he being serious? Mm-hmm. So I'm really persistent. And so once you tell me something I tell you something, and if I give you my word, then I'm going to deliver. So I told him, I was like, hey, if you want me to sell your house and we agreed upon a price, like I'm going to sell it. Don't talk to anybody else. I told him, don't talk to anybody else.
Don't sign it. Don't
sign anything else. Don't say anything else to anybody. And I was able to get the house under contract on February 16th. Okay.
So once you added in the country, how did you know it was a good deal, though? He wanted 25, but what steps did you take to identify that it was a good deal?
So he lives on the street, and he lives the house on the end is the corner house. So he lives next to the corner house, and the corner house was just remodeled, and it's a beautiful house, just like his. It was just remodeled. So I believe I went to Zillow first, and I pulled the comps on it. Comps was around 150, 160, and we just knew that it was a deal from the amount that he said. He wanted so little, and we just knew it was a deal.
And we ran with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you put it under contract in February, well, let me ask you this: what type of condition was it in?
Horrible. It was not livable. No lights, no running water. The house itself, like the foundation is good, the roof is good. They converted one of the rooms. It used to be a carport. They converted into a room, but it was a hole in the ceiling. So, and then the restroom was, it needed to be condemned.
What did you all I guess estimate what the repairs would be on it?
I think I said somewhere around 30 to 35 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all right. So now you got in the contract for 25. You say the repairs maybe around 35. So that's at 60. And you said the ARV, you all estimated the ARV to be what?
150 to 160.
150 to 160. Okay. All right. So what was next? What did you do to find a buyer?
So she put the house on the contract on the 16th. That night we went back to her home
And put it on Zillow.
and we put it on Zillow. And the next morning her phone was blowing up. You can tell me about that.
Right. So many people, once we put it on Zillow, so many people, like I didn't want them calling my personal line, so I kept it separate. So I got like a text now number. So they were calling that text now number like every 5 minutes. I had someone reaching out, calling me, hey, I want to see this property at 2505 9th Street. And they were calling.
What price did you put on it?
50 grand.
50,000. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how were they going to access the property?
Well, see, the owner, he was still living there. So I was telling them, the owner, he was still living there. So I was like, if you want to see the property, we would have to schedule an appointment. So with that text now number, I was able to put that on Zillow, and they would call me and reach out to me to see the home. But with me and the seller having a good relationship, I'll be like, hey, so-and-so gonna come by. Is it okay? And he will give me full access to the property.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So obviously you had a lot of activity. What made you choose the buyer that you went with?
Oh my goodness. Had I did research and had I known, I wouldn't have selected that buyer. Okay. But they presented themselves professional, and their contract was very, very professional. And
blunt, short to the point, like yours.
Right. It was a 1-page contract, just like your contract. And so I was like, okay, I understood. Clark and I, we read it. We went over it. We liked, everything because it was broken down. Basically, it was laid out. So we selected to go with them.
But before that, she received 2 other offers for the full amount. One lady, her contract was like 3-4 pages,
right?
And it was just a bunch of stuff in there. I'm just like, okay, I don't want to read through all this. Let's get to the meat of what we're doing. And the other guy, I think it was Jeremy.
Yes.
I don't know what was wrong with that contract. I don't know if I looked at it or not, but they wanted it at the full asking price. But we ended up going with this guy who he wanted it for 48. But his contract was simple. It was like, hey, it's $2 grand off. Mm-hmm. Contract simple. Let's just roll with it. And with the person who had the long contract, I found in there that they were pretty much, they want the JV the deal, but they wanted to split the profit of the $25,000 spread. And I was like, no, because she actually had them to send over another contract because they were going to wholesale it to an buyer. So that's fine as long as she doesn't have to split the $25,000 spread that we had between the contract, and the asking price. So they sent over another contract saying that you keep your $25,000 and then we'll keep whatever we make over that. Mm-hmm. So it was still kind of, I didn't trust it, even though it was spelled out the next time she sent it. We just went with the other guy who had the simpler contract. And in hindsight, never worked with him again, but ended up going with him.
It was a nightmare.
Okay, so let's go through that nightmare. So before we do, I'm assuming you did close with him, or you had to find someone else?
No, we closed with him.
Okay, all right. So what was that process like? What made it difficult for that to happen?
Okay, so this is where it started. Once I got the property on the contract, everything was a green light. they were coming out to look at the property, the contractors and everything. So my seller, he was in agreement on letting them access the property. We had found a buyer, but we had to probate it because the parents were deceased. Nobody never probated the property. So we had to go through the probate process. So I had to go get death certificates because his mom and dad is deceased and his brother was deceased. So it was 3 kids. One brother's deceased and 2 kids were living. And so the title company was saying, well, I need this information. I need this information. So it started February 16th. I secured the death certificates like March 13th because I had to give death certificates and do affidavits of heirship. Well, we were in Houston. COVID-19 happened. So at the end, when we're about ready to close, we had the buyer and everything.
The original close date was March 15th?
Yes, it was supposed to be March 15th. I had everything. And then at the last minute, the title company says, we need the brother. He was in incarceration. He has to sign off. So I needed a warranty deed. Well, everything is closed because of COVID-19. And by him being institutionalized, I wasn't able to gain access to him.
Well, before that, what made this guy such a headache? So when Tammy put the house in the contract, she used the contract.
The old contract.
The old contract.
Your old contract.
And it's the one where you have to omit line 4 about the appliances and things.
The mechanicals.
Yeah, because we knew all the appliances were pretty much trashed. Nothing worked in the house. So when I was working with another property, I downloaded the contract and typed it up at work from the website, and it already has line 4 omitted.
Mm-hmm.
Since she had the old contract, mind you, the guy that we're working with, he's a wholesaler as well, and he's wholesaling to another end buyer, but we didn't notice at the time. So when one day he reached out to her, I think she was at work or it was late, and he started saying that you guys breached the contract.
He was going to sue me.
He was going to sue her. You need to move your price down from 48 to 40. What he wanted it for?
40. We went from 48, we went to 46, and he was like, well, since you didn't omit this and no mechanical is working, now you have to give me the property for 43.5. And if you don't, I'm going to sue you because it's a breach of contract.
Right. So yeah, he was making all kind of threats saying that his end buyer spent so much money, and now he's in a bad position and blah 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 blah. He was definitely
a headache. A headache.
A super headache.
Wow. Oh wow. Okay. So what was the final how did you settle on a final number?
Well, I actually ended up weeding him out. I stopped communicating with him, and I talked to the end buyer myself. She and I established a relationship because actually she was working with another guy, and he fell out the deal because he had a dispute with one of the contractors that was going to be doing the actual work. And so she said, well, I'll just do the deal myself. So she reached out to me and she called me and she was like, let's talk. And I explained to her everything that was going on. From that point, she and I established a relationship. Had I known this in the beginning, I would have just did the deal with her and cut out the other guy. That was the headache.
We didn't know that we didn't know that he was another wholesaler, and he was a wholesaler, and then he was working with a person who he was, I guess, training or
to learn the business.
And she was out of the loop on some things, and then it was too many chefs in the kitchen, pretty much.
Basically, really.
We never could speak to the end buyer to find out exactly what's going on. He's pressing us for information that we don't have and we can't get because of COVID-19. Courthouses are closed. You got to be strategic in where you're going and things like that. So it was just a pain. So eventually she did end up getting in contact with
the end buyer.
And half of the information that she was given to him to tell her before she found out about her, he never even told her the information. So she was looking for information from him, and we were giving it to him what we could, but he was never telling her anything. So she was left out of the loop the whole time about stuff.
Okay. All right. So so I guess you all settled on a price of what, 41,000?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. So did he get that guy that initially that that wholesaler, did he get paid anything out the deal, or?
He walked away with $500 because he manipulated her to make her feel guilty, the end buyer, as if she wasn't giving him, he wasn't making a lot of money on the deal.
Yeah.
So she gave him $3,000 earnest money. He offered me $500 earnest money that I never received.
That we never seen.
I never received the EMD deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just being manipulative, and he told the end buyer, "Oh, she's a newbie at this." Yes, granted, I am a newbie, and yes, I made a mistake with omitting line 4 on the original contract. I own that, and I did drop my price because I did make the mistake. But he was just a nuisance. Like, he kept saying, "I'm gonna sue you. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have business etiquette."
We're liars.
Yeah,
it's almost to the point where I had to text him like from my personal phone and
set him straight.
Pretty much set him straight. Because it was getting out of hand.
Yeah, I got you. So, and what the people might not know, what they're referring to is they saying omitting line number 4. They're talking about the contract that I give away that I've been using since 2003, and many have used all over the country. Now I have it where someone can fill it. Well, you fill it out on dailylater.com, still free or whatever, and that particular verbiage has been removed, was replaced with, I think, buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. So, but that's what they're referring to if people don't know what you all are referring to. So, all right. So, now you, I guess you're under contract with the actual buyer. And so, that was what, late March or early of this month, or which is May now, 2020. So
it rolled over to April because now we're ready
I skipped April, didn't I?
Right, you skipped April.
What happened?
Okay, go ahead.
So it rolled over to April when we were ready to close, and the title company was like, "Oh, well, the brother that's institutionalized incarceration, he had to sign off because either he would have to be at closing or he would have to sign over his rights." So I'm thinking, okay, finally, we're about to close the deal. Here comes the title company saying he needs to sign a warranty deed. Well, he's incarcerated. It's COVID-19. It's no visitors at any institutional facilities.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, how am I going to reach out to this brother? I had to write the brother. I wrote the brother a letter as if I was the seller. He didn't respond because they don't have a good relationship.
Okay.
So
before that, when we found out that we had to reach out to him, we found out he had been in prison that long. We didn't know what prison he was at, but his brother kind of had an idea of where he was, but he had not heard from him in years.
They hadn't communicated.
So when we finally did find like a halfway facility that he was at, she was able to call. I was calling, and we were trying to find out if they had cell phones. So he didn't have a cell phone, but I guess one of his roommates or somebody that he was in there with had a cell phone. So I had to reach out to him, but we were thinking like, man, we don't know what kind of relationship they have. We don't know if this guy's going to be down to sell the property. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't want to sell, or if we just stir the bee's nest, pretty much.
Right.
So we knew that was a risk, but she reached out, she wrote a letter. Like I said, he didn't
read the first letter. Yeah. So I had to write another letter coming from me. So I wrote another letter, and then Ty, I'm overnighting these letters. It's like next day it's like $26 each letter that I'm sending. Mm-hmm. And so I put my personal phone number on there for him to call me. I'm like, hey, reach out to me, whatever. So I finally get him to call me back. So when he calls me back, I'm explaining to him, only to find out he's been incarcerated or institutionalized for like 34 years. Wow. So, right. Yeah. So I'm explaining to him what's going on, what's happening.
And he flipped.
He went ballistic. And I'm just like trying to explain, like, this is what's happening. Even though the seller and I have a rapport, I've never met the brother. He doesn't know me from a can of paint. But I'm like, I'm giving you my word, he's trying to sell it. He was like, well, I don't care. He was like, let the city get it. He really didn't want to sell. Okay. We finally convinced him to sell the property, to sign off on the warranty deed.
Before that, he's like, okay, well, I may do business, but I need to talk to Raquel. This person.
Yes.
Come to find out, after much research, it's a long lost family cousin or a cousin of the family. So we had to do some digging. We had to go to Free People Search and find the number because we were asking him, who's Raquel? And he was like, I don't know. We was like, well, how do you know who Raquel is? Like, this number didn't come up out of the blue. So I found Raquel's number on this Free People Search website, got her number, text her, and, she did eventually end up calling me, and I ended up telling her who I was, and, we talked to Lynn, and we talked to the other guy, and, that please give this guy who's incarcerated a call because he's not going to do any business until he talks to you.
So they ended up talking, and so we did a conference call. We were on a 3-way call. It was myself, the long lost cousin, and the brother that's institutionalized. So he was asking about his mom because he's been locked up for like 34 years. That the mom passed away in 2016. The brother had passed away, but he wasn't there for anything. And so when she was telling him, well, where his mom and brother was buried, he started crying. So it was kind of like a little mini family reunion, We had to go through all of that.
Oh, you all were listening to all of this?
Yes.
She was on 3-way with him.
And I just put the phone down because it was on my personal line. So to give them their privacy, I put my phone down and I put my phone on mute. But I'm not going to lie, I did listen a little bit,
Right. Still listen to all of it. But go ahead. I don't like to hear sad stuff myself. I can avoid it, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So once we did that, after I overnighted the letters and everything, and he said, well, he said I presented myself well. So he and I established a rapport. So he was like, I'm gonna sign these papers. Well, Ty, he's in a transitional facility. So it felt like I guess I had to sneak onto the facility.
Before that. Before that, originally, with the properties in the contract for $25,000, right? So the brother wanted to give him $5,000. He walked away with 20. So when we got the brother who was in the facility to talk to his brother who was out, he muscled his way into making the brother who was out get $10,000, and he received 15. So they have like a real rough relationship. So he was like, well, you know what? If you're going to sell this house, he's in the facility. He was like, I'm gonna get 15, and you walk away with 10. That's the only way I'm gonna sign the paperwork. So they swapped the amounts. He got 15, and the other brother he was supposed to get 10.
My seller was supposed to get 10. So the guy
I forgot about this. The seller was the dude that y'all knew, but go ahead though. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
so he was originally gonna set up an account and put his brother $5,000 in the account and walk away with 20. But when the brother who's incarcerated caught wind, he was like, no, if you want to sell so bad, I'm gonna get 15 and you're gonna get 10.
He muscled him.
He was pretty much muscled him over the phone from a facility.
Right. How you muscle somebody and you in a transitional facility?
I guess he about to get out.
Maybe so.
Hey, you might know what that means. He about to get out.
Right.
So they had a heated exchange, and they eventually end up coming to an agreement or whatever. The seller, he was pretty much,
he's cool with
I'd rather get something than nothing. Right. I don't want a goose egg. At least I'll get some money. I just don't have the money to do the repairs. Whatever. Let's get some money before the city take it. So
once we did that, he agreed because it was the brother that's in the facility. He wanted 15, so he was gonna get 60, and my seller was gonna get 40. So the brother in the facility was gonna get 15, and my seller was gonna get 10. So we agreed upon that. I gave him a copy of the contract saying that he was gonna get 15, and my seller was gonna get 10. So he signed the warranty deed, and he was like, well, you got yourself a deal. So he was like, and then I had to sneak on to the facility.
Yes, we had to sneak onto the facility. It's like we're on the episode of Shawshank Redemption or something, because he rolled the paper up. We talked to him before we got there. He rolled the paper up and stuck it in the fence.
And we had to drive by and get it.
We had to drive by and look. We were looking for him. We was like, okay, no, that's the paper. So we just rolled by, snatched the paper out of the fence, and kept going.
Took off.
And there were people in the yard like it was a prison. There were people outside watching, like, what's this black SUV pulling up, getting paper out of a fence. But yeah, he ended up talking.
Yes.
Hey, y'all already know I got to get it out there. Hold on, that's Gator right there. That's truly Gator. If you all have to go up to a halfway house and get that to make that bread happen or whatever, that you definitely get the Gator Award on that.
Thank you.
So you got the paperwork. So when was this? When was this?
That was at the end of April. That was like April 25th or something. It was like pretty much the end of April. So I'm thinking, okay, good. Now I have the papers. I'm going to email them to the title company. We're about to close. Well, the end buyer was working with another guy. He fell off the deal because he and the contractor didn't have a good relationship. So it pushed it back to like May. And so that's when I had the relationship with the end buyer. She and I had started talking. And she was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the deal myself. So she ended up getting a hard money loan. And she did the financing and everything. She got approved for the loan. She had all the requirements that they were requesting for the hard money loan. Yeah. And she did it herself.
Oh, okay.
Finally, Ty, we end up to go. They set a date for the closing. So we go to the closing. It was at Patriot Title here in Houston. And it was myself, my seller, Clark, and I, we all went to the closing. And so when we get to closing, we see the HUD statement. So we think we're out the woods. Everything is okay, cool, calm. Once we get the HUD statement, my seller has $10,000 in back taxes.
So we knew that there were going to be some back taxes. We Googled, or we went to HCAT or the county tax assessment website or whatever, and we only saw, was it $4,600 or at the most probably like $5,000 of back taxes. So it's like, okay, no issue, whatever. When we get to the closing table, there's $10,000
in back
taxes.
Wow.
That the seller had to pay.
So now the seller is only getting roughly $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember, the brother who's incarcerated is expecting
15. Yeah, he's getting that 15. Yeah.
He's expecting $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're only getting $15,000.
Yeah.
So Tammy and I are looking at each other like
we don't know what to do. What the brother is gonna say.
But the brother was like, well, we made him understand. Hey, you're gonna have to split that $7,000. He was like, hey,
yeah,
it's better than nothing.
My seller was okay. He's been on board this whole process. My seller, because he told me, he was like, you're working really hard to get this deal closed.
So what about the brother? Y'all just did it without talking to him?
Well, it was already the closing day. We were at the title company and we had waited so long. At this point, it was just like, hey,
let's close the deal.
Let's just close the deal. He had already signed the warranty deed. Let's just close the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's close the deal. We'll deal with the rest. We'll cross that hill when it comes. So close the deal. The seller was like, hey, when you open an account, because he hasn't had an account, bank account since 2018. You're not going to get the whole check. We'll have to split that check. And he's fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, it only took a couple of days for the brother to call from the facility looking for his money. Mind you, we thought we were going to get checks that same day. Nobody got paid the same day.
My seller, he didn't get his money because we closed on a Wednesday. They said it takes 48 hours. So I'm calling the title company because he's calling me because they had already started the construction at his house. So they're like, he has to move his things. He has X amount of days to get his stuff out. So he didn't get his check until Monday of this week. So he got his check, but at 6 p.m., the bank was already closed. So the next day I was busy. So I was like, well, I'm going to take you to try to cash your check. And that was on Wednesday. That was yesterday. I was able to take him to cash his check. They charged him so much to cash this $15,000 check. But he was like, let's just go with it. I have to get my stuff. I need my money. So I was able to get the check divided. So he got his portion. Roughly, he walked away with like $7,900. And the brother has $7,900. Okay. So my son, he was happy. He's happy. He's moved his stuff, everything.
And the other brother is already threatening to sue.
Yeah, he said he was going to sue me.
Oh. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Well, it's gonna be probably hard to do that from the slammer, but
Yeah.
Right.
And
but
mind you, the contract that she sent them says minus any unpaid taxes.
Mhm.
well, yeah, but yeah, exactly. So the contract says it, and nothing to sue for. So okay, well, wow. So let's get to you all side of it, really quick. So they're happy with them. Well, I don't know if they're happy or not, but you all, it was closing day. It almost not didn't happen, but you made it happen. That's what Gators do. And so how did that feel to pick up your first payday?
Surreal.
It was so surreal. So I told Clark this whole process, like I've been telling him, like I'm gonna kill my seller. Literally, I was like, he's driving me crazy, crazy, crazy because of the relationship that he and I have. He knows that I'm working hard for him, but at the same time, he will keep calling, calling, calling. But at the end of the day, it was all worth it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth
It was definitely worth it.
Okay, yeah, that's some good. I didn't see that coming. That long drawn out story there, as far as
Yeah.
COVID.
And that's not even all of it. We just gave you this version.
Yeah.
That's not all.
Yeah, like I had a similar situation like that where this lady, this elderly lady, sold me her house, and that she had lived in for years, but she moved into a retirement home, and her granddaughter, she just let her granddaughter live there, and the granddaughter wasn't taking care of it. Her neighbors were letting her know that, hey, your granddaughter letting different people stay there. She's not getting to keep the lawn cut like you used to, blah, blah, blah. They give away what they used to, I don't know if they do it now, beautification awards here in Birmingham in certain neighborhoods, well, all neighborhoods. And she always winning in her neighborhood. And so, long story short, she sold me the house for $10,000, and I had a buyer for it, but whenever we pulled the title, her daughter was on the deed, but her daughter was in jail.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
but she was in the county jail, so she wasn't in prison. It was local, and so she didn't know how that happened or whatever. So anyway, I was at that time. I was still working a job, working at Bell South, which is now AT&T, and so I just sent out an email at work. Does anyone know a traveling notary? Because the attorney had prepared the information. Yeah, prepared the information to do it. And so several people responded, and I chose this one lady. Me and her, the older lady, we were really good friends. And her sister said, my sister is, and so I was fortunate because her sister actually worked in the DA's office for that particular county. And so all she had to do is just go show her badge, and they just let her went back there and just saw the lady. Whereas when we got down there was like a line out the door, what I mean? And they just called you and say, it's like several floors in that particular facility. We're not taking any more on 12. It just be it. If you've been in standing numbers like for hours, and if your family member or person you're going to see is on 12, and you don't have the credentials, you're not going to say it. So long story short, anyway, she went in and got everything signed. So it was, just simple, whatever. You just have to make it happen or whatever. So what's
I don't know if you remember. Well, I actually text you about that. I text you, I said, hey, title company needs a brother to sign off, but he's incarcerated. And you was like, hey, if it's worth it, go get that paper signed. You gotta go to the jail. I
remember that. Yeah.
That's what I texted. And then on top of that, and it's crazy because I'm in like a wholesale group on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I posed that question before I text you on the group, and everybody was like, hey, if it's worth it, find a way to make it happen. Go get that paper. Go get it done. But
it was COVID-19 though, so you can't access any facilities.
The guy that we were working with was wholesaling. He wanted her
to sign the papers,
to sign his name.
I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to forge nobody's name.
No, it's not. Oh no, this payday is not worth. Me
forging somebody's
name. He was like, well, give me the paperwork. I'll write his name. I was like, no, because this guy already knows that this house is looking to be sold. And if he finds out his name was signed without
his authorization.
Everybody in this thing is going down. So I'm like, nah, it's not worth it.
Yes,
we'll figure out a way. I knew a mobile notary, but that's not how it got notarized. But yeah, that was not going to happen.
Yes, I wasn't for anybody's signature at all.
Well, wow, guys. So what's next? You got so this just happened this week, right? You got paid, right?
Yes.
So from February to now, it took because of coronavirus. Whereas like the last interview I did, my guy pretty much did it in South Carolina. He did it in 10 days or whatever. I think that's the time frame or whatever, but I guess this is farther along in the process of COVID versus when you all started before it or whatever. So I guess that's the difference or whatever. But all right. So what's next for you guys? You got a war chest to start with to look for some other ways of looking for deals or whatever. What's next as far as the game plan?
Looking for next deals. We've been driving for dollars. She drives for dollars on the off day. I drive for dollars on the off day. I'm getting the whole of prop stream and checking through zip codes and looking at foreclosures, things like that. Making calls. I don't know if she's gonna do the bandit signs or not, but that's an option. Just looking for the next deal. That's actually a deal that in her neighborhood, a couple streets over from the house that we just got under contract. That guy was looking to sell. He wanted to sell it for $140. Well, I took a look at the numbers because she would go most time and get a look at the houses or whatever because she has more. She can get around better than I can when I'm at work. But I'm on a computer, so I have time to look at the numbers. Well, it wasn't for what he wanted, and he seemed pretty set at his price. For what he wanted, it wasn't any room for a wholesale deal. Well, it didn't make sense, and I knew he wouldn't have took the number that we would have offered him. So, she just found out today that the end buyer who
bought the property, she got him under contract, and she's gonna do a flip.
Yeah, for 110.
For 110.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Right.
So he discounted $30,000, but. Looking for the next deal.
Definitely looking for the next deal because I'm a true believer that it is money to be made out here. After I close my first deal, I'm definitely my uncle, he wants to sell his home. He's in a small area and his home is appraised, but the ARV is between 150 and 160, but he wants $289,000 for it.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's a lot of land in it.
Oh my!
Yes,
and it's a 700 square foot house.
700 square foot.
Yeah. Good luck, Unc. He's not motivated. It's called a non-motivated seller. So,
wait, his bottom line number was 189.
Right.
Well, guys, I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you reached out to me. This has surely helped me as always to learn how other people go about their process. And again, you all, you got Gator as needed. Where is it? Right here. So
yes, sir.
Make that happen. Anything you all want to share before we go, just to give some people some encouragement or whatever they're just starting out here?
I do. I want to say definitely do your research because this was my first deal, and what Clark and I said, your first deal is the deal that you can make all the mistakes. So now that I've seen the mistakes that I've made, going forward on my next deal, I know what to do and what not to do. But definitely do your research, and you could definitely make money out here. Like, this is all legit, because as I was explaining the process to my mom, she didn't understand. She was like, how are you going to get paid? I just don't see it.
And I would tell her, because like you always say, you don't go telling people you're going to wholesale a house because they don't have any education. And as long as it took you to know, it'll take them that much longer to find out. And she was trying to explain to her mom, it's like, look, it's not going to work. But I would say that it does work. It's real. It can happen. Put the effort in, put the time in, and it'll make it happen. And Flip Man actually does text you back.
Yes.
I was going to text. I was like, man, he's not going to respond. But I typed your number and I was like, okay, he has an iPhone, so he may respond. And he actually does respond.
Yes, he does. That is true.
It's not a joke. He will respond.
Yes, yes.
Now, let me just say, one of the texts that Tammy sent me, I sent her the standard text that said,
yes. And I would tell
And I would sit right behind her, and he would send me an actual response. He was like, "Why is he responding to you like that?"
It's independent question. I'm a human being, and I have my days too. But a lot of times, if it's a question that I know a video can answer, I'll respond back. Feel free to post your questions on any comment on any video in the comment section, because I can help you and I can help others, which that's real or whatever. Right. And so, and then a lot of times, again, it just depends on how much time I had to sit there and respond. It depends on the question. Sometimes people text me, it's just a yes or no question, but normally yes or no turns into another question. So I'll normally just refer them to the video, because I can sit down, like I'm gonna do it at least every day or two. I'll sit down, I'm just gonna answer every question that's posted in the comment section on my YouTube videos. Again, and hopefully answer their question, but help others also if they go down and read the comment section of the video. So, but guys, man, I really, really appreciate this. You all taking out time in your day.
Thank you.
Don't spend that bread.
No.
Hey, look, I was gonna say don't spend it all in one place. You go spend a little bit of, but no, just keep it to build that 16 into 160 by the end of the year or whatever.
Definitely.
Or whatever. So I really appreciate it, guys. And I always like to say we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.